So today we're at the campaign office for Matt Daudlin, who's the Liberal candidate for Chatham-Kent-Essex. And how are you doing today, Matt?
Fantastic, Dave. Pleasure to be here with you.
Now, what was the onus that got you into politics in the first place? Why did you decide to get into politics?
Well, I'll tell you, I told you just a little bit earlier, that question probably came most difficultly from my 12-year-old son, who looked me square in the face and said, "Daddy, why do you want to do a job where everybody's going to call you a liar? You're not a liar." And I think that probably puts a pinpoint on exactly why it is that I need to do this job, and that's what I told him. If we as a people have accepted the lowest common denominator, accepted the fact that the people that are running our country can all be painted with the same brush as liars and thieves, then somebody needs to do something about that.
Okay, so maybe you can tell us a little bit about your background, what led you to politics in the first place, and why you decided to choose the Liberal Party as your home.
Certainly. Most people are aware that I'm a 44-year-old teacher. I teach at Kingsville District High School, and I'm a construction teacher, a master carpenter by trade. I spent a number of years, 10 as a matter of fact, teaching in maximum security jails prior to teaching at Kingsville District High School, and a number of years before that involving myself in the community. As a matter of fact, I'm very proud to say that I was one of, not the only, but one of the founding members of an organization called Restorative Justice Chatham-Kent. My family, as a matter of fact, has lived in this riding for over 100 years, and most people are aware that my father was the Member of Parliament, the federal Liberal Member of Parliament for this riding from 1974 to 1984. So I sort of grew up with it in my blood. And I guess being as non-biased as or the son of an ex-Liberal Member of Parliament can be, I truly believe that Liberal ideology falls as close to my own personal ideologies as any of the parties out there.
Now, what sort of feedback have you been getting from people on the streets about this campaign and the issues that are important to them?
Well, despite what the media has been telling us as paid for by the Conservative government, I acknowledge that people have been paying very close attention to world events. And these are very, very significant events, Dave. When you take a look at what's happening in Libya, when you take a look at what is happening in the Middle East, there are people around the world, Dave, that are dying to try to emulate the kind of government and kind of social service safety net that we have here in Canada. To see that eroded as the current Parliament seems to be driven to do, scares me beyond words, and is even more pointed because of the fact that there are people in Northern Africa, in the Middle East, in Asia, who are dying to try to emulate the sort of government that we purport to hold dear to our hearts. Chatham-Kent-Essex has natural gas, it has oil, it has manufacturing, or it had. We have agriculture in both grains, fruit, livestock. We have freshwater ports for fishing. We have international ports. We're on a major thoroughfare in terms of Canadian highway, and we're within an hour's drive of the single busiest border crossing in North America. So anything that can take place in Canada can take place in microcosm in Chatham-Kent-Essex. And so our concerns here are specifically agriculture and ensuring that the absolute bloodshed of loss of productivity and in terms of producing our local grains, fruits, and vegetables is addressed, ensuring that the farmers locally have business risk management programs that they've developed that ensure that they can be sustainable. And so agriculture is a very, very predominant issue in this riding. Certainly the loss of our manufacturing jobs, which ties into what it is that we're going to do with that incredibly well-educated manufacturing workforce we have. In the last election, Chatham-Kent-Essex was referred to as the core of the Rust Belt in southwestern Ontario because of the loss of the automotive manufacturing jobs. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to manufacture cars again, but what I am saying is that we should be able to retrain the workers that we have here who are educated in the manufacturing process to ensure that they have the opportunity to manufacture those new and upcoming technologies such as the wind turbines, the solar panels, and any number of other things that are coming in terms of new technology in the manufacturing area. Certainly precedent has been set for that in some American American companies, and we're seeing it happen, interestingly enough, west of us and east of us. There's been a resurgence in the Windsor area. There's been investment and infrastructure funding from companies that have come from Korea, that have come from Germany. Interesting that we haven't had the leadership in Chatham-Kent-Essex to ensure that those investments take place here.
What are the issues that you would like to see Canadians focusing on in this election, the issues that you think are important to Canadians that they should be paying more attention to?
Well, I think in terms of educating themselves, I encourage everyone to take a look at the policy document that was released actually just this morning, historically released on a live online presentation with live questions from Canadians across the country. The other thing, Dave, that makes it a historic document is if when people take a look at the document, and again, I encourage them to do so. It's available online at the Liberal website. They can download a PDF copy of it or read it online. They'll find that 2 of the pages at the tail end of the document are an actual measure-by-measure costing of how it is that these things are going to be implemented, over what time frame, what they're going to cost, and more importantly, where that money is going to come from, to ensure that when the leader stands up or when I stand up in our riding saying we will be able to provide you the social safety net that you expect, the comfort that you expect, the level of support that you've come to expect from a Liberal government, we will be able to do that without raising your personal income taxes. I had the pleasure of having the Honourable John McCallum here to help open my campaign offices. Most people will remember that John McCallum was the senior economist for the Royal Bank of Canada before he took up with the Liberal government in the 2000 election. I like Mr. McCallum's point of view. He said, don't get me wrong, I don't hate the Royal Bank of Canada, but when it comes to a 2% tax break, they don't need it. We're talking about ensuring that we can pay for families first. And I guess in a nutshell, that's probably the most important thing, because every individual family will find areas that they're most interested in, and they can find those in the document that was released today. And I hope that we'll be talking about more of them individually as the election goes on.
Okay, and for any of our viewers out there who are interested in actually getting involved in your campaign, what do they need to do?
Well, they can follow us a number of different ways. Certainly they can come out and visit our office as you have this morning on 220 Wellington Street West. We're right beside the LCBO or across from the Tim Hortons. You can find us online, and you can follow us on Twitter and Facebook. So we encourage you to join us on all of those medium and take a look closely. We will actually be doing some YouTube video as well in the next little while. So we encourage you to follow us in all of those ways and come on out and see what's happening.
All right, well, we want to thank you for spending some time with us today, Mr. Daudlin, and best of luck in the campaign. And I guess we'll see you on the campaign trail.
I appreciate your time. Thank you very much, Dave.